my name is Paulina Masternak. I'm doing cinematography for 4 years, a little bit more, 4.5, I could say. That's the biggest passion, of course. I was enjoying cinematography or photography when I was a child. And in general, I was always interested in arts, in painting. I attended art school in Poland. I'm originally from Poland as well. So I finished art school. I was doing all the drawing, sculptures, and all the visual side. In Poland, in England, though, I applied. It's a little bit different in the film schools. It's much more film schools. I'm personally studying at UCA, University for Creative Arts, with the cinematography course. And the difference is definitely it's a much bigger industry. It's more people like studying there, exchanging knowledge. The practical side of filmmaking is much higher than the theory, like, I mean, of course there's like film history as well and stuff, but I think the main thing is not the theory, isn't it? Like filmmakers going to film school to learn technical things, which is not really accessible through online learning. When I came to England, I wasn't like perfect with English, so I was like very stressful with speaking and stuff. But because we had some certain tasks at uni which I had to do, otherwise I'm not gonna proceed. So I was like stressed, even I really didn't want to do it. So, and an example are like presentations. So because the course is big, you have like 150 people in front of you, and you're making presentation about your film, about your research about the film or the theme and stuff, or you have the pitch presentation in which you need to sell your film in 1 minute or in 1.5 minutes, and that's so stressful. And I guess if I could be not in film school and just doing my own things, I'm not sure if I could be like brave enough, to start doing those things. But because I had this pressure from my uni, I did it, and it wasn't that scary after. And then we had bigger desk and bigger, and it was just easier and easier to make things. So so that's actually very interesting, because it's not related with film like that much, but it's just as I said, making you coming out of the comfort zone.
The branding. What's the branding of a filmmaker? What do you want to be? Why are you in this class? And I'm going to be taking you through a very important presentation on personal branding. And the first thing I'm going to throw out to you right there is that, what do you want to be? How do you want people to identify you with you? Okay? So, for example, you say, I want to be a director. So how do you want to brand yourself as a director? How do you want to speak in a language that communicates that you are a director? How do you dress? How do you do things in terms of personal branding?
Directing is kind of the telling of the lies, telling of the stories. That's what directing is. And you need to telling this story well. You need to you creating your own world, So all you saying with during the conversation is really important. No matter what you do, you're supposed to know what you're doing. So I remember this day really, really well, because when I was on the corridor that time before this meeting, I was speak with a lot of people, and I saw, oh my God, these people have big knowledge. Know a lot of. I was feeling like these people are much better than me. from the skill. And Jenny was much older, because when I started study, we had just a few people, because in Poland for 1 year you can get only 6-7 people per year. And all my colleagues, that was a people which was around 30, 40. And that was like normal age. I was just only me, which was 18 on the year. So I never forget this, because I start conversation, and I went there. Okay, let's go. Let's check it. I was really curious how it's gonna be looks like, and and actually I was surprised, because they didn't ask me about the history of cinema or all this stuff. We started conversation. I started to tell them, about the project which I wanna make, meantime, what I wanna do, and the final step of this conversation, they told me, actually, you done this what we wanted to ask you, but you didn't know this what we wanna tell you, because you didn't know this question, because you told this before we asked it you. And what question it was? They wanted to check, like they wanted to ask you tell about your project and try to sell this project to us. And that's actually what I done from the first step. I started to tell what I'm doing, how I wanna show this, all these visions which is in my mind. And that was one of the most important moments after that, because I started thinking about it. Okay,
when you shoot a short film, you have lesser trouble in managing your clips, because you are going to have a lot of clip depending on your choice of shot at your disposal. But when you begin to have longer clips for longer duration of time, then you might now begin to manage your clips. That is one challenge. So in what you are going to use, or the things that you need to do for you to be able to manage it properly, is that you need to be focused on the angles of shot that you have actually done previously. How does those angles of shots relate with the ones that you are going to be taking afterwards? Those are the areas that you need to take into consideration. Then don't forget, each scene has its own message, and that message must connect with the other scene, either previous or the one that you are going to be shooting next.
Two kinds of filmmakers here we are talking about. There is the studio kind of filmmakers. These are big brands that were built over 100 years of film history. Like if you talk about Paramount, if you talk about Disney, if you talk about all these other studios that we look at, then you're going to understand that those are brands built over years. These are brands which are trusted by banks. So, for example, if they go to a bank and they ask money for a production, they will be given that money just because they're Paramount, because people trust them. And then now there's this other kind of filmmaker who obviously all of us is independent filmmaker. This one freelance filmmaker who wants to build a brand and make it in life. So like Rachel, for example. So you're just one person. You have a lot of convincing to do. When it comes to fundraising for your movies, when you go to fundraise, people ask you, okay, we have the money, but we can't give you our money because we are not sure that you're going to give us our money back.
I will start with one more thing. It's I don't know if you've heard. It's about film festival called Cinema da Mara. This festival really opened my eyes. It's if you didn't hear about it, it's like gathering of many filmmakers, and they're traveling around in Italy and just making films together. And why this festival opened my eyes? Because I started seeing things like, okay, you just you just need to get rid of the limits, and you need to start making things. So when at uni, I was doing like 3-4 films during the year, the academic year. On the Cinema da Mare, I did 20 or 30 films during 3 months, and that was something crazy. So, and this is really good. This is really good. I could recommend this to all cinematographers who are beginners, because you just get used to with your camera and you're not afraid of making films. And this is, I know it sounds easy, but it's very important that you're not scared of actually making films and of making mistakes even. So we had such busy weeks sometimes that you were making like four films a week or 3 films a week. And then, you know, after such long time, you're like, okay, if it's not gonna work, then it's fine. I'm still gonna do it, and then I'm gonna just see what I've done bad, and then I can just improve and improve myself. And you can do this very quickly because next week you're doing another 5 films.
You're creating your idea, your own world. That's very important. So right now, in a shortcut, you know, when you start creating your movie, later we will go through another step. When you start creating your movie, because that's will all what I'm saying now will be really important with another steps. When you have your script, when you have your own world, as a director, you're playing with the genres. You're making your own version of each of the story. You're not telling the story of Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino. You're telling your story. So this is important. And you know, all what you're creating in this world became to you. And you try to make it real with the actors, with the crew, with all of these people. So you are like a kind of the captain of the ship.
Let me put it this way. The lens, even from your phone or from the professional camera, the lens, most of the time, when you are static, it will not engage the eyes. And that is why we often encourage, when it comes to film production, movement in your pictures. It actually engages the audience.
Even as we're going on with the filmmaking classes and learning all the technical subjects, if there's something I've learned in my filmmaking journey, it's important to also start building the business side of you, because film is a business. If film is what you do each and every day in your life, then it's a business and it should be taken very, very seriously, because you need to feed your families, you need to pay your bills and all that. So you can't say that I'm just making films as a passion. I'm just making films as a passion. I don't want to make any money from it. Your skills have to be monetized. And for your skills to be monetized, for someone to spend money on you as an independent filmmaker, then you have to have built your brand. And it's important as students to start building your brand while in school.
I want to make something special. I saw, even by the way, there's a lot of film festivals right now, which based on the coronavirus, and this like people need to stay in a home, and that's something what I used to as well. And trust me, you know, need cameras. I will start about it later as well, but you don't need cameras enough if you have fun. A few years ago, I was like, you know, really traditional. You need camera to make the films, and that's something from directing side. What is my tip to you? What can help you as well? Keep your mind open as much as possible. Don't close yourself. Okay, because I was like that before. I was thinking, okay, no, films need to be made on the camera, like, you know, film is like on a phone looks like a shit. No, it's not this way. Because I saw when I was on a Cinema da Mare in Italy, I saw one film, and I was okay. This film was really cool. You know, it was on one master shot, really long takes, nice acting. And after that, when I asked a person how he was shoot this, he told, because the movement was really cool, he told me, yeah, I did it by my phone. I said, what? And from that moment starting, okay, never close yourself on anything. Try catch everything as a challenge. If you have fun, do as best as possible by phone, and everything is possible. That's all about the story, not about the camera which you're using.
When you have a set on which everyone is like, oh, you're so great cinematographer, I love you, like your work is amazing, you actually like, that keeps you being lazy a little bit, because like you think you're perfect and stuff, but you need to keep going and just because it's not truth, like it's so much competition out there, and it's like ocean of people who are making better and better, but it's like, you know, it's about keeping yourself focused and just doing things, doesn't matter what.
As a filmmaker, the more you engage yourself in production and you solve problems, the more you get better in production.
You find most filmmakers are also freelancers. You find yourself being given a job in a festival, or being given a job to do freelance special effects for a company, or being given a job to do any other job in filmmaking in different sets. So you're a brand by yourself. So you need to establish then, how do I build the brand that is Rachel, the brand that is Gabriel, the brand that is Pascal, the brand that is all of you guys, each and every, put your name there, George, all those names, Collins, and everybody else who is here. So put your name in that brand and say, how do I brand myself to everybody I meet from today? Because how I brand myself today will determine how my success will be tomorrow.
And yeah, so I really recommend those kind of things. And so if you're a beginner cinematographer, just make films, and I don't know, just make 20-30 films, and you're not gonna tell me that you didn't improve at all. Like, you're gonna be good after that many films. You're gonna improve for sure. And there is just like this, you know. So that's the third thing, which is really essential. It's just, you know, keep doing. It's the most important thing. And also, don't be scared of showing your work. I think that's, as I said before, it's a very big problem. Like, many people are like perfectionists, and they like, okay, I need to re-edit film, like, because people gonna see it and they're gonna criticize and stuff. It's about making, you know, all the time, and not being scared of showing your work online. Especially, there's so many people online who is your audience, and who can give you comments about your work, who can criticize you, which is really good, and keeps you improving. So each time when you fail, you're like, yeah, I failed and I learned new thing, you know.
I told you about when you are shooting with phone, make sure that the environment that you are using is quiet. Once the environment is quiet, that means there's less noise, external noise, either from fan, from generator sets, and all sorts in the environment that you cannot control. Once those noise can be controlled, or you can actually avoid those noise, then from your phone you can actually get a good audio.
And really important is to keep actors comfortable in a film. If actor won't feel comfortable, they won't play for you. That actors like your kid, your kids. You need to care about your babies, and you need to care about this creature. On a bigger production, director don't talk to anybody because they don't have a time. So if sometimes, even if regularly, if it's important question about the costume or something, then sometimes
assistant directors, which was talking before with director, decide what we'll be using now, because was talking with the director. Director is focused only on it. So but of course, all what assistant director is doing because of previous talk with director.
That's how to build your image. That's how to build your brand. And also knowing how to behave and how to dress when you're going for meetings. Depending on who you're meeting. If you're meeting the Queen Elizabeth, then you have to dress up, my friend. Hata kama ni ya kuomba suti, borrow that suit and dress up and go to meet the Queen. You need to learn some few things like protocol. If you're preparing yourself for greatness, then you have to learn things like protocol. You have to understand, if tomorrow I got an opportunity to meet President Uhuru Kenyatta, okay, how will I dress? How will I behave? If we are eating dinner, do I know how to eat with fork and knife?
Cinematography is good when you don't really pay attention on cinematography when you watch film. So the main rule, I mean, it depends of the person, but I think personally it's to not make the audience distractive from the story. So always the story is the main point, always. Like the most important thing is the story in the film.
And I want to congratulate all of you because you've started building your brands. You've started contributing to the messaging of COVID-19. That is something you can put in your profile and be able to tell somebody, I contributed in creating awareness about COVID-19 virus and trying to save lives. So that's a way of starting to build your brand, a way of starting to get your name out there, a way of starting to get people to appreciate you as a creative, to appreciate your importance in the world. And remember, we are talking about branding, and branding is not all about you. It's about you in the relationship to the world. So what importance, what value lies in your name, or what value lies in the name of your company? For example, you can see that Coca-Cola spent billions of shillings in advertising, trying to get branding for their products for many years.
Okay, what if you have shot and there's a boom in the shot, a microphone or someone from the crew, and you're like, oh no, that's rubbish, that's completely rubbish. But what if the director if the cinematographer is gonna tell you like, oh, but my film is showing reality. It's like documentary style, and it's focused, and there's no border between crew and the actors. So it's all going on the screen, and that's the idea of the whole film. And then those things are correct.
Your closing scene must be at climax. So most of the time, make sure, I want you people to put into consideration, your closing scene must be able to simplify the message to the barest minimum.
The personal brand includes your physical appearance because that's the first thing people see. Believe me, when people are looking at you, the first time you go and meet them and you're pitching them and telling them, I want you to fund me with 10 million shillings, or I want you to fund me with 8 million shillings. The first thing they're looking for is just like, how do you look? Do you look trustworthy? Do you maintain an eye contact with people? Do you keep time? Do you communicate? So all these things end up contributing into building that holistic brand that is you.